All right, we're on another tour with Carol, our tour guide. And Carol, what's this tour?
This is the Indian Shell Mound Park. This was the holy ground of the Indian women. This is where they had their ceremonies. This is where they buried the revered women. They would bring when the Spanish explored Dauphin Island, when the first ones came here, they named it Massacre Island because they found a lot of skulls on top of the mounds here. And they thought that there had been a big massacre or something. If they had looked, they would have known those were women's skulls. The Indians believed that the soul rested in the head, as where we think of the heart. And so they would bring the skulls of the revered, honored women back and place them on the mounds here.
Now, tell us about the history of how the French...
Oh, the French, King Louis XIV sent Governor Cadillac here, and this was the first capital of the Louisiana Territory. And you know, the Louisiana Territory was a vast area. It was 3/4 of what is now the U.S. And so everybody used to wonder, how did the Frenchmen discover all of these places in St. Louis and all these other places? They simply followed the Indian women home. The Indian women loved having little blue-eyed babies. And so they would, they and the French got together, and so this is actually how the French came to know all of what was the Louisiana Territory.
Wow. Okay, we got two other guests here. What's your name?
Jan Leptowski.
And
Bill Leptowski.
And where are you guys from?
Michigan.
Northern Michigan.
And is this your first time to Dauphin Island?
Yes, it is.
And guess who you're staying with?
With Carol.
Dauphin House Bed and Breakfast. And did you guys ever think you'd get a tour from the owner?
Absolutely not.
So you guys ready to check this out?
We're
Yes,
ready.
we are.
Let's go.
Hi.
Dauphin Island, Indian Shell Mound Park. Wow.
This was a little French cemetery here.
This was a cemetery?
Yes. There are still, they have sort of obscured the graves. They would like for this not to be known as a cemetery area. But for a while, let's see if it's still here. This is one of the tombs. So they would cover them with this concrete, heavy concrete.
This is a tomb?
Yes, and there was a baby buried in this. But there's tombs all out here.
Wow.
But somebody needs to do some excavation here. And
so the reason these ain't visible is the low powers that be
would like for you not to know that this was once a cemetery, because you can never do anything with the property.
Oh, wow, that's too bad.
Right.
That's really too bad.
This is what was called the marriage.
Money talks.
See how its arms, its limbs
This is the
branch out?
marriage tree?
Uh-huh. And this is where the priest would come, and he would bless all of the unions between the Indian women and the Frenchmen. And he would baptize all the babies. And we still have weddings under the marrying tree.
Wow. Another awesome tree. Huge.
And when they would bury the Indian women, they would plant a cedar tree because they thought the spirit would come up through the tree and be purified. Now this is our century tree. It's over 1,000 years old.
Oh, wow.
And right 3 days after the turn of the century, one of the major limbs fell off.
Oh. 1,000-year-old tree.
And it's still lying here. Oh, okay. And this tree has some rare orchids that grow in the limbs also. And he was supposed to have buried a huge gold cross someplace on the island here.
Now, who was this?
Jean Lafitte, the pirate. And there are many people who think it is someplace close to this tree. But no one knows for sure.
Good story.
Good story.
I mean, no one knows for sure where it is, but they're pretty sure that, it's here, someplace. This is the last known burial site in the shell mounds. The lady that was buried here was the guide, the Indian guide for Andrew Jackson.
Wow.
And so her request was that she be buried in the holy ground. And so her remains are someplace here. All of these are mounds. And this was the ceremonial ground in the center here. They have let it go to pot.
Oh my God, there's another one.
This is known as the great-grandmother's area. This is where they had the ceremony every year for when you had children that were stillborn or that were died in infancy. This is where you would come and they would have the ceremonies for all of those. And they say that at night you can see their little spirits sparkling through here.